Welcome to the Ref Room, hockey talk for referees, coaches, players, and fans.
Broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
With your hosts, Scott Smokin, Silz and Brad Baumruck.
Live.
The Ref Room starts right now.
And now your host.
Oh yes, it is Monday. Welcome to the Ref Room, everybody. I am Scott Smokin Silz, joined by our local referee-in-chief, Mr. Brad Baumruck. Good to see you, buddy. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Good.
How about yourself?
I'm doing well. You know, I think you figured out how to cut the show down in time so we get off on time. You guys gave me a 7:40 start tonight, so I have to actually get out of here at a reasonable hour.
Nothing to do with me. So
yeah,
don't,
okay.
Don't,
well,
don't
somebody must have gotten a memo. Like, get him off the air on time for a change. Anyway, it's been busy, of course. Back to craziness here, and again, we keep talking about it, but like the playoffs are really like they're here, aren't they? I mean, we are.
They're here.
Moments away.
They are definitely here. Well, the United Center game is going to be March 19th, Sunday, March 19th. The three high school games will be happening at the United Center again.
And that means the season is over for a couple weeks.
Red. Yeah, until seminars start up again, which, seminars are already going to be started. And if you go to IHOA.com, we already have a countdown going on there. So you can take a look at it.
Yeah, by the way, the website looks great. You guys updated it. It looks super. So if you haven't had a chance to visit it, you can visit it after the show. It's IHOA.com. And, check out some of the stuff. I think we're actually up there, believe it or not. They had a nice little plug because the nice article that we had done. Appreciate that to everybody that, who's actually responsible for that? Was that Mr. Dunn that took care?
That was not. No, that was not my idea at all. And I had pushed it a couple months, and that was actually Ross Foreman's idea. Who
thank you very
the show,
much.
and he does does a lot of the articles for AI, and then.
Ross is the king of he's the Mr. Rothstein when it comes down to figuring out the high school hockey teams, who's on top and who's not. So very cool. Had some good games this past week. I'll tell you, it's intense out there now. And I don't know about you. I've noticed, I think like as you look at the teams, they're all getting bigger again. It's that time of the year where they seem to have whatever they're feeding them kick in because they're just bigger and faster and stronger than ever. And it's funny how it gets like that around December, January, but you really notice it in January, how much bigger and how improved. And, games that you used to think were, this would be interesting are actually really interesting. These guys are really pumped up and flying. So interesting time of the year, of course.
Yeah, especially the guys that have taken some time out and, maybe done some extra power skating or something like that. Some of the kids too, you see them, they're really big at the beginning of the season and they can't move because they got so big over the summer. They're just kind of like trying to get through it. Now at this point, they've gotten through it. They're working on their skills and, they're ready to go. So it's a cool time. I always appreciate it. And it makes it more interesting for the fans, especially because, now you have these bigger players that can actually get up and down the ice and hit people. And it really makes it more, let's say, nerve-wracking for them because now some of these smaller players are getting their cages cleaned or, heads cleaned. I'm trying to keep it PG.
Well, it's interesting because, even some of the JV games are starting to look like varsity games now. I mean, some of them are pretty intense, and the players, you can see that their skills have developed, and you could see who's going to be moving up next year, who's going to be off that JV team and moving to the varsity, and who's going to make a difference for them. So I think it's kind of cool. And size-wise, you can just see how much they've grown. If you haven't seen them for a few weeks or a few months, and all of a sudden you get one of these teams like, wow, these guys are really getting big. So, of course, the varsity teams are looking more like, NHL size. Some of these guys are just huge.
Yeah, players are so big.
Yeah. We had a couple comments in here. What did Karen say? Hi, Karen. How are you? Is it possible to put the captioning up? What captioning?
Facebook does that itself. Actually, it depends on how you watch it.
Oh, I don't have Facebook turned on at the moment, so I can't see what she's referring to. Let's see.
It
Landon
does
says
it
some
that
JV
way.
games late have been crazy good. Yes, they have. Yeah. Don't you play JV? Or do you play varsity? I forget. I think you play JV, don't you? Landon's a good player.
play JV.
He's a referee, and he's doing a lot of games, man. He's making his way up the ranks, doing a good job out there. He's serious about it. You know, you could tell. We have some guys that are just out there to have some fun, work with their buddies, whatever. And we had some guys that want to be serious about this. He's one of the guys that wants to be serious. I know. So it's very cool. Anyway, today we're going to talk a little bit about like some rookie mistakes. We'll call them rookie mistakes because it's things that we tend to see over and over. We see some newer people that are being pushed into positions now since they've been around for a while this season and they're getting some more opportunities. But we're going to talk about some of those things today and probably some things that, will probably help you as well. We always try to, hope you get something out of this show. Besides me and Brad having a great time. So, like
that
we
is
always
for
do.
sure.
Anyway,
More than 3 weeks. That's all I know.
Yeah. That's getting kind of old. It's 3 years later.
Yeah, I know. It's okay.
Anyway, so I know you wanted to talk about score sheets because I think you have a lot of issues on a regular basis with score sheets. And this is kind of basic. So if you're new, or newer and, a lot of times when you're a new guy or a new person out there, the veteran official or the senior official might be the one that comes and grabs the score sheet and takes it over and you kind of tag along with them. But, by this part of the season, you're probably taking the score sheet and we're tagging along with you. So some things that you need to make sure that you are doing correctly. Let's start with a few of the basics. Like number one, how about counting the players? Making sure that the score sheet matches the number of players that's on the ice. After you go to the bench and the coach takes everybody off that's not there, marks them as, not playing, count the number of players he's got left on the score sheet on the roster versus the number of players that are actually out on the ice. Because didn't you guys have a situation before where somebody ended up getting forfeited because of that and they got knocked out of the playoffs as a result of that?
Yeah, they had 21 players on the ice, and unfortunately, there was no way to get any video. Nobody had any video, which is very odd. They would normally recount the players that were playing. Luckily throughout the game, you can normally catch the numbers and stuff like that. But it actually came down to they had 21 players. They couldn't get it. They got it like 2 days afterwards, but they'd already made their ruling and it was already done. So it's utmost important that we count the players. The other thing is too, when we're counting that players list, we need to take notice of who is suspended, because if somebody is marked at the top, they'll sometimes mark next to the player suspended, right? If they're not written down in the box, because a lot of the score sheets have boxes or notes, if they're not in those notes, it's like they didn't serve that suspension. And that can be really, really difficult when it comes down to playoffs and stuff like that, because now you have a player that possibly served their suspension, but yet you didn't count the players and you didn't notice if anybody was suspended. So it can get even more interesting to where people are like, oh, well, they had 20 guys out there, but one was suspended, but yet nobody counted it, so nobody knows if there were 20 guys out there, but 19 would have guaranteed caught that, would have marked them off, and you wouldn't have had an issue. And players get suspended again. They serve a double suspension for it. Or even worse, the coach doesn't put it on there, and they have all 20 guys on there, doesn't list it. Nobody counts. Only 19 guys are on the ice. We would have caught it. Would have told that coach, hey, why do you have 19 guys out here? Let's get it on the sheet. So that's definitely a big thing.
And the other thing, now you've got the electronic score sheet in a lot of situations, the iPad. And sometimes, don't ask me how, but we had this happen to us a few weeks ago. We had a situation
where it has too many players.
Well, no, a player had served a suspension the day before. but the iPad had not caught up with that. And so, the coach is saying, well, the player served his suspension yesterday. He's eligible today, but the iPad says he's not eligible to play. In that situation, I will take the coach at his words, but I will trust and verify. And the trust and verify comes with, I'm putting in the game notes that we discussed it with the coach. The coach said the player served the suspension yesterday, and as a result, he was allowed to play today. And, we're not the suspension committee, so we will take somebody at their word, and we will leave it to the powers to be to sort it out at the end of the day. But don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to get into a confrontation saying, well, I don't care, he can't play. I think most of the coaches are trustworthy when it comes to this stuff. They know the deal because they know the repercussion if they don't abide by the rules. So as long as you document everything, am I right?
Well, so you can't tell a player that they can't play.
Right.
That is not on us. That is on them, and that becomes a league issue. A lot of things can change in 24 hours or even 4 or 5. So you just have to let them play, and you know what? Make sure you send in a report to whoever you need to, your supervisor, or we have the reporting system here, but not everybody does. So you got to make sure that gets in, and that becomes a league issue. It does go back onto them. You can say to them, though, well, if you have this player suspended and they're not supposed to be playing, I'm going to submit a report. So I don't know what you want to do with that, but you may not want to let them play. Most coaches that know that player is suspended are going to get them off the ice, but that's not up to us. So you can't tell a player that they can't play, unfortunately.
Yep. So that's probably one of the things that we, is a good, I don't even want to call that a rookie mistake. That can happen to anybody, even if you've been around. So the best policy in any situation is if there's an issue, write a game report, make a game note. If it's the iPad, you can record the note, you can write the note on there. If not, submit a report, and that way everybody knows what's going on and it's covered. Whether you have a problem on the ice, a problem with coaches, a problem with a player, a parent, problem with a parent, anything that's really a disturbance, something that needs to be addressed. I mean, if it's just two people who are standing over by the glass and acting like idiots, and you point and go up in the stands, you probably don't need to do a report. Probably.
Right.
But but if it comes to blows or it comes to something that gets ugly, always a good idea to have a report. Just keep that in the back of your minds.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, the next big thing with score sheets, hang on, let's keep on these score sheets.
Okay.
Is if you have a major, all right, every major has a game misconduct with it. I hope everybody knows that. If you don't, and this is your first time hearing it, every major carries a game misconduct. The game misconduct is a separate line item. Okay, so you have to have 5 minutes for fighting. The next line is 10 minutes game misconduct. If you don't have that on there, that game misconduct can be overturned. You also need to make sure that the player number correlates with the player that got the major. If you have 24 serving it and they're written next to the fighting major and the game misconduct has 91, we have a big problem. It causes a lot of work for everybody to go look for it. That's a big problem. The other thing is, we don't have a 91. 91 wasn't on the ice. They have video. Guess what? Or, 24, right? They can overturn that. If it's left blank with no numbers next to it, it can be overturned. If you have a match penalty, it has to say match penalty. And make sure that the rule reference is right. And if you get back home and you notice that the rule is wrong and you misapplied it, guess what? You got to send a note to your superiors, but you still have to submit that report. You can't just go, oh, we were wrong, and not submit it. Because I guarantee you, 150,000 times over, someone is going to find out about it. You're going to get a phone call, and we're going to have to talk about it. On A, you didn't submit your report. B, why didn't you submit your report? And C, this is absolutely incorrect. So now you got three things. You made the wrong call on the ice, you didn't submit your report, and you didn't do it in a timely fashion.
Yeah. Good advice for everybody. Check the score sheet, especially, if you've got somebody that you've seen go to the box before, double check and make sure how many minutes they've served, how many times they've been to the box. Are they riding? If you got somebody that's riding on 3 penalties and it, it's not a terrible idea to go over to the coach and go, hey, just want to remind you, he's sitting on 3 penalties right now. And that's it. It's not a confrontation. It's just a polite, hey, just for the back of your mind, he's sitting on 3 penalties or she's sitting on 3 penalties.
Right.
I think coaches probably know that, but they would probably appreciate it if they didn't realize, like, oh, I forgot he got a 2 and 10 to start the game. And yeah, he's riding on 3 because 4th penalty is going to get suspended. He's going to be removed from the ice and he's going to get a game suspension. So it's really more than just being removed. So it's a nice gesture to the coach. You've got a rapport with them. They get it. They know you're not trying to, shove it in their face or anything like that, but it's like, hey, just so you know. And they're
plus,
like, yeah, well, got it.
Plus, at that point, they're a fourth of the way to their 12. If there's another one, they're a third of the way to that 12. And then actually they're going to get, that 4th penalty, then the 5th, and it's even closer to that 12th.
Yeah.
So they may want to keep that player off the ice so that they don't run into something themselves.
Yep. That's a good point because the 12th gives them another penalty on there, and that the number goes rapidly rising, as we might say.
It does.
Yeah, it goes up quick when you get in that situation, especially, now you get a couple coincidentals, a couple things like that, numbers go up very quickly. All right, you wanted to talk about, too, I think, breaking up fights or scrums. We'll call it a scrum. Scrum, or you want to call it a fight?
Whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's
okay.
It's on the referees. We do have to break up certain altercations. We do all understand that. We're supposed to use as little force as possible. So the big things that we keep seeing on the ice, and it keeps happening, is, number one, don't go in behind a player. You need to get in between the 2 players. I know, it's in the kill zone. I get it. I've been there. I've been hit. Guess what? You didn't sign up to referee figure skating. Get used to it. You might get hit a couple times. We get it. All right, you got to get in between them so that they know who you are. Worst thing that can happen is you grab them by the back of their jersey and they elbow you. Okay, that's bad. Or, 10 times worse, or they turn around and swing their stick or something like that, right? Next thing is identify yourself when you're coming into it. Hey, I'm the ref. Hey. Hopefully they'll know it's you. If you've done everything and they strike you, you have a different issue at hand. These things do happen, but you have to use as little force as possible. You can't come at them from behind. If you take them down from behind, everybody and their brother is going to pull that video, and you're going to be looking at something else, even though it was probably absolutely 100% unintentional. But you have to go with a picture is worth 1,000 words, especially in video days nowadays. We have to be very mindful of how we react. And remember, there's only 2 things we can change in a hockey game, control in a hockey game, ourselves and line changes. That's it. And if we can control ourselves, the rest of the game should be okay for us. But if we're attacking a player, which I think it's kind of an attack coming at a player from behind, it's not a good thing. And you're putting yourself in danger. You're putting your partner in danger. And you're also looking at possibilities of way worse things happening to you, unfortunately, down the line. So you need to make sure that you get in between those 2 players and actually break them up. That'd be a great video. I wish USA Hockey would put one out there, but I think they don't want to have the engagement of the officials in there, because if we can avoid it, you should always try to avoid it and go in there when it's safe. Yeah. That's just the one thing that I'll say. If there's a video out there, there could be. USA Hockey has tons of archives. I won't lie. If I misquoted there, I'm sorry to everybody, but if there's a great video and somebody has it, shoot it to us. we'll go ahead and post it. We have no problems.
Yeah. When you get between them, I mean, if you can get them off, take them all the way to the penalty box, separate them.
Yeah.
Don't let them get back together. Don't let them engage. Don't let anybody else, just kindly scoot them off, get between them and just kind of let's go and move them down the ice as quick as you can. Just
guide them. You're like a mime.
Yep.
Box them out.
Exactly. So that's
yep.
very good advice. And, I like the advice about not coming behind the player. That's a really good thing that everybody needs to be aware of. So, imagine if you were in a scrum and all of a sudden somebody grabs you from behind. You're just going to start swinging at anything in sight, not in sight. Anything around you is going to be like, game on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So good advice. You want to talk a little bit about anything you want to discuss with some of the newer referees with positioning or handling of a situation that comes to mind?
I think let's keep this to positioning because we could be here for an hour and a half talking about situations. I think the biggest things that we need to remember about our sport is, number one, what's the primary goal, Scott, of our sport when the players are playing?
Have a great time, enjoy yourself, have a fun game, get from start, get to finish, keep everybody safe, and, let the chips fall where they fall.
Are you running for president? What are you doing here? Okay, the primary
Am I being politically correct?
Yeah, hey, I love all that too, and I'm with you 100%. I think that's a big thing. I did close my eyes a little bit there, thinking gleaming at you, but you can't see it. Gleaming, glaring, however you want to put it. But, number one, it's putting a 3-inch by 1 inch in a 4x6. That's it. Okay? That's really what this comes down to. So, number one, 2 official, 3 official, 4 assist. God, I can't talk today. Official. You have to be on the goal line when there is a play at the goal. That's number one. Number two, the next most important position, the blue line. You need to be either in the blue line as the puck is moving into the zone or out of the zone past the blue line if the play is moving out of the zone. If you hustle to those 2 spots the entire game, I guarantee you, A, people are going to notice it. You're going to get a lot of credibility right off the bat. B, it's very difficult to argue with a referee standing on the blue line on either side or standing on the goal line as well. And when I say standing on the goal line, we're not talking buried in the corner. You have to get out into home base. If you don't know where that's at, pull out a
Home
USA
base.
Hockey manual. It's on there. I promise.
Down at the bottom of the circle, right behind the dot there at the circle, like the goal line and the circle, kind of almost where they meet. Like right there is home base, folks, in case you don't know where home base is.
My home base is licking the goalpost, basically. So that's just me, though I'm a little crazy.
Yeah. Depends on, what your appetite is for taking pucks.
Depends on what you're comfortable
Sometimes
with.
it's a safe place to be. Trust me. You're probably not going to get run over if you're over by the goalpost with them coming out of the zone. If you had to be there, if you had to get out of the way, that's probably a safer spot than being at home base sometimes. So, it's got its advantages, and it's got its disadvantages. But,
right.
But there's no better feeling, honestly, if you got a play that's on that goal line. There's no better feeling than actually being on the goal line to make the call. And there's no worse feeling than not being on the goal line when you need to make the call or you can't see what you're trying to make the call on. There are times when you will get blocked out. You will get blocked out by the post. You will get blocked out by a portion of the net. And it's a terrible feeling. You got to find a way to get around it, either get to the back a little bit, get a little bit behind so you can kind of peek your head back or whatever you need to do to see that goal line. So, and sometimes you got, 4 or 5 players down there. You got a scrum, not a scrum, but you got, kind of a pile going in front of the net and, a loose puck that's really close. That's when it's time to get in there nice and tight and see what's going on. Because, again, you'll feel great when you made the right call. And, every parent's going to be out there, if it's their kid's team, oh, that's a goal. And you're going to be like, no, it's not a goal. So, But they'll know you made the right call, whether they want to admit it or not, because everybody sees it the way they want to see it anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Good spot
I
to
don't
be.
know if they'll know. I don't know if they'll know, but
They won't appreciate the call, but
yeah.
they'll know. Yeah, he got it right. So
Well,
anyway,
speaking of bad positioning, I'm just going to bring this up, and not to throw referees under the bus. I believe it was the Nashville game the other day. The referee got hit by a puck, right? And I saw the photo of where he was standing, and it's a 4 official system, right? It's the NHL, and he is standing between the players shooting it from the top of the circle and the goaltender behind the defenseman.
yeah, what he thought was his skating lane, but it wasn't his skating lane.
Well, there was no that's definitely no man's land in anybody's playbook. I don't know where he was.
I saw
happened.
that about a month ago at a game here in Chicago. Newer referee. I'm not saying any names, not saying where or anything, but he almost screened the goalie. I'm surprised they didn't score because the goalie couldn't even see it. The guy was so far in no man's land. It wasn't funny.
Yep.
You guys, position is important. No.
It's not safe for us. It's not good for the goaltender trying to block the puck. And it's definitely not 100%. I'll say this again. Not safe for us. We don't want to be involved in that play. If you watch the old videos from a billion years ago, you'll see the referees, they go everywhere. It's kind of like, you're kind of like watching it and you're like, somebody actually went there? But that's just where they went. Kind of like if you watch soccer and stuff like that. That's how they run around and officiate. Well, you might get hit by a soccer ball. I mean, it's not real big.
You got hit by a soccer ball.
Yeah. I'll take that any day
the
over
basketball
getting hit
hit
by a hockey puck. Well,
yeah, okay.
Even the basketball officials stay on the sideline.
Yeah.
They're
not even in play.
Like maniacs.
They're not in play.
They're out of play completely.
We're the ones that are in play. I mean, we are in play with players changing, pucks moving, players moving. You got 12 people on the ice, plus the officials is 14, 15, 16. Then you got a line change that has another 3 or 4 coming off, maybe 5 coming on or off. It can be crowded out there. And, plays moving fast. Positioning is really important, folks. So, watching, pucks being dropped, watching, behind your partner while they are dropping a puck. I see a lot of the younger officials, or not younger, but less experienced officials, newer officials that don't, they're not looking out for their partner while they're dropping the puck. There's movement behind them. You got players creeping in. That can be very dangerous. Especially with I think even more so with the smaller little kids, because they get in there and 4 or 5 of them are so low to the ground, they're underneath you basically, and they got their sticks in your leg, and nothing good can come from it. So you really need to be watching for your partner's safety. And if you see your partner, get hit badly, or take a puck back, don't be afraid to hit the whistle. I know we don't want to. Your partner doesn't want you to either, but there's times where you need to hit the whistle and reset. Safety first.
I'll be the first one to say this. I better be spurting blood or unconscious. Don't hit the whistle. I'm good.
Yeah.
But okay. I know that if you're worried about your partner,
you're the tough guy, Brad. We know. We know you're the tough guy.
I'll be the first one to admit. We're going to keep going unless we need to. I don't want to affect the game, but some referees, if you feel your partner's injured and needs attention, I've stopped it for a referee that's gotten smoked against the boards, and I could tell by the way they started skating. I'm like, they must have hit their head. Okay, I'll stop it for that. But the old guys are spurting blood or unconscious. Other than that, let's keep playing. So, I come from that standpoint, just like I still stand on my blue line. If you're gonna run into me, I'll be right here. Don't worry about it. I'm good.
The refs, 99% of them were hockey players, so they've been there and they've done that. They've dished it out. They can, take it somewhat. Some like it to take it a little bit more than others. Not all of us like to take it that much, but it is what it is. I just feel like there should be a bit of respect out there, and that's something I do take issue with. We are not out there to be, unneedlessly hit with sticks and pucks and everything else. So that's my personal opinion. I know you probably feel a little bit differently, but I like to see the safety of our officials taken into consideration, and I don't feel like it always is. So that's my 2 cents. And on that note, let's look at a few of the comments and see what's going on, okay? All right. Alan's checking in. Alan asks where my Diet Coke is. It's right here, buddy. I got it. Ready to go. And Frankie she's right here now. Yeah, there she is. She's right in petting distance here. If you see my arm moving during the show, it's usually because Frankie is here. Anyway, Brian checks in. Hey, boys, happy Monday to all, and a happy Monday to you, Brian. Always good to see you, whether it's on Facebook or at the rink. And when 2 players fighting, don't send both of them to locker room at the same time. Alan, that's a very good point. We didn't discuss that. But if you are kicking people off the ice and sending them, send one. Let the other one have a seat for a little while and cool down until the other person is completely gone, and so that they don't decide to meet up in the hallway on the way out. Yeah, it's like, hey, both of you guys get off the ice, and then you got a melee going to the locker room. Yeah, so that's good advice, Alan.
And you know that from the magic carpet.
Yeah, he knows that from firsthand experience.
Early on. Well, because that's a common exit right there. So.
Exactly. Yeah, very cool.
All
right. So, basically, those are a couple of the big things coming into playoff season that we want to make everybody aware of. If you don't get a chance to watch the show every week and you watch the replays, we do this every Monday, 5:30 p.m. from Chicago, so it's Central Time. We will be back next week. I think we're going to end a little bit early today because I do have to get to a game, so I've got to be on time. That's okay. Been a busy weekend, been a busy boy, and I skated 4 in a row the other day. Remind me not to do that again, will you please?
All right.
You like doing 4 in a row, Brett?
I'd rather do 2 and then have like an hour off than do 2.
But 2, I skate 3 a lot. 4 in a row is quite a bit. I was on the ice for 7 straight hours. I was getting cranky. I was getting cranky at that point. Anyway.
You should revert back to the show where we said bring snacks and waters and stuff like that. So
I do.
It was your fault.
I do have snacks and water, but I can't get off the ice to get the snacks and water because in those 4 games I had 1 break. We had one ice cut, so there are no breaks. You just keep rolling. Landon says a hungry official is a bad official. Well, we don't want you to be hungry out there, but
No.
I'm a big proponent of getting a little snack before the game if you can pull that off, a little bit before, so you do have something to work off of. But sometimes there's just not much. When you're out there for 7 hours, there's, it's not even a hunger issue. It's just it's a long time. The puppies hurt. The puppies hurt at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm not referring to Frankie. She's looking at me like, what do you mean the puppy hurts? I don't hurt.
Yeah, and I think your mind starts to wander, unfortunately. So it's not the best thing that I like doing. I've done it in order to make sure that games are played for the players, but it's not my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, very good. All right, well, I think we're going to call it a day, and we will see you guys back here next week, starting at 5:30 p.m. I am Scott Smokin Silz from Chicago, along with my man Brad Baumruck. Thanks for watching. If you like what we do, you want to support the channel, go to buymeacoffee.com/refroom. I think coffees are about $5, if I'm not mistaken. Some caffeine. Oh, by the way, we actually have a wish list up there. Brad wants a roller bag. Brad's been on this roller bag kick. Like all of a sudden he's going to join the referee club and get a roller bag.
I
put up almost like a GoFundMe page to get him a roller bag to get him off my back. See, now we got some likes for that. Somebody click the like button on that one. So you can actually contribute to getting Brad a roller bag. Yes. Any denomination works, but it's up there. It's on the buymeacoffee.com/refroom site. So check it out if you want to see Brad with a roller bag, okay? So he can feel like he's a part of the club again, okay?
If they didn't stop making mine, I wouldn't have to do this. But anyways.
How old is your bag, just out of curiosity?
So I had 2 of them that ran for probably like 15 years. The one went out the last time. That was about 3 years ago. And I have replaced zippers. I have done this and that. And this one is just it's beyond repairable at this point.
I believe that.
So
I believe it because I know how long you keep
mutilated.
your equipment because I've been in the referee room with you, buddy. I know how long you keep your gear. How long have you had your elbow pads?
20 years.
20 years. Okay.
volleyball knee
News flash for you. Probably something you might want to consider getting a new pair. Because if you go down in your elbow, if your elbow gets opened up, you're going to have one nasty infection, my friend. So, for all you guys that go out there without elbow pads, here's a good rookie mistake for you guys.
Pads.
A lot of guys, well, I'm not saying you don't, but a lot of guys do go out there without elbow pads. Probably one of the worst injuries you can get. If you fall on your elbow, you can have a permanent injury. And for you guys that have your 20-year-old elbow pads, you've got so much bacteria in there that if you do go down and you get your elbow opened up, be prepared because you're going to have a problem. So, wash that stuff, change it out once in a while. It's not, not the toughest thing to do. I know. But
we'll get you an interview with Oprah so that she can get you famous like Dr. Oz. Dr. Silz.
Dr. Oz couldn't even win an election, okay? So I don't want to be that kind of famous. Did you see who he lost to? We won't go there.
Get into that.
Yeah,
right.
we'll leave that alone, okay? Anyway, all right, guys. We will see you next Monday, 5:30, right here on the Ref Room. I am Scott Smokin Silz with Brad Baumruck. Have a great week, everybody. Take an extra game and have some fun out there. Peace out.